This is what college basketball is all about. This is why I continue to believe it's one of the most popular sports right now in the world today. I know a lot of people, when we have the popularity contest, I think we limit it to only the pro sports. But I think anybody that has followed college basketball this year, I mean, it's been one of the more special regular seasons. It's exciting. And I don't want to continue to beat a dead horse here, but the level of excitement for me comes from all the star-studded freshmen that we continue to see week in, week out, day in, day out when it comes to the landscape of college basketball, man. We're going to get to what happened yesterday, and it was all day long. You had to get action in the early window. You had to get action in the middle of the afternoon, and then the Big 12 after dark, baby, continues to get X-rated when it comes to the level of play that we're getting on the offensive end from guys like A.J. DeBonsa. Really, really cool performance last night, watching BYU pick up really their first signature win of the year. If we're being frank about it, it's the first time all year in which they really led start to finish against an elite team. I think the most impressive part and the most impressive thing I saw all day yesterday, though, was the performance of Cam Boozer at Cap One Arena right here in the nation's capital, taking on Michigan. He got in foul trouble early, and it was one of those situations where you wondered, one, whether or not he'd have the mental fortitude to re-enter the game and play without fouling. And then, two, you wondered his impact after an extended rest. He came in with about 7 minutes left to go in regulation, scored 8 straight points, and you felt his impact right away as soon as he was able to check back in. I thought his performance, I thought DeBonsa's performance were the types of performances that ultimately moved the needle. As we close out this opening hour of the show, I'll bring you a fresh installment, an L Super Six Pack, my top 6 freshmen right now in the world of college basketball. And just being frank about it, right? Just being real, authentic. This list is fluid. This list is forever changing. This list is not something that's set in stone. This list rather is not something that I am willing to write in pen. It's very much written in pencil, and it very much is fluid. Yesterday, though, as I mentioned a couple of moments ago, it was one of those Saturdays in which you got such strong performances from some guys at the top where you really got to consider moving your rankings around. Also, what we got to see and bear witness to yesterday was the University of Kansas. They lost, but as I started off yesterday's show doing, as I started off last Saturday's show doing, Darren Peterson is owed an apology by just about, or from just about everybody across the country. Pretty much. Including now as head coach. As we let you hear from Bill Self yesterday, he was pretty expressive in terms of his disappointment and what he was feeling from Darren Peterson after the game earlier in the week when Darren Peterson only played, 18 minutes and checked himself out of the game once again. For the first time, though, really throughout the entirety of this injury saga, we saw other people in the media come and go to bat for Darren Peterson. And it's something that I've tried to do throughout the entirety of this thing because it always felt like there was something fishy and the player, for whatever reason, was not getting the benefit of the doubt. We now know, after some tweets and some folks behind the scenes for Kansas finally speaking up, we know that Darren Peterson this entire time, not only is he hurt, I think he deserves a ton of credit for trying to play through the injury. We'll get to that in great detail as we roll throughout the show as well. We'll talk a little bit of National Football League coming up top of the 9 o'clock hour. And then 2 staples we bring you here on the weekends. Facts or Cap and Say What? Facts or Cap. workshopping the name. Something that I know is near and dear to all of your hearts, something that's near and dear to my heart. This weekend, in Facts or Cap, we can do it all on Darren Peterson. There's so much information that came out yesterday that we can do an entire Facts or Cap segment on Darren Peterson. We'll get back to him in a moment. I want to get to something more serious here to start, and I have been kind of not mincing my words, but really thinking as I've been speaking here throughout the opening 6 minutes of the show how I was going to address this situation, because I know it is my duty as a sports radio host and somebody that prides themselves on helping others. It is my duty to speak about what went on and the tragic events that happened yesterday in the National Football League. If you are not privy to the situation, tragic news to bring you yesterday, late last evening. Rondale Moore, the wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, was found dead in a garage due to a self-inflicted gunshot wound. Rondale Moore, somebody that has been well-traveled throughout his time in the National Football League, played as recently with Minnesota, played with Atlanta, also played with Arizona, just 25 years of age. Just 25 years of age. So this is something that is difficult to speak on. This is something that is tough to compartmentalize, because I think there's a lot to this entire situation, and I think I can speak to it. Not because I know anything about being in the NFL or any pressure to being in the NFL, but I can relate to Rondale Moore and some of the dark spaces he may have been in here recently, for him to, ultimately take it to the extent of unfortunately taking his own life. I go by the youngest in charge, right? I'm 28 years of age. I joke all the time, if this wouldn't have happened and then this wouldn't have happened, I'd be in the NFL right now. Obviously being facetious whenever I say that. We bring a comedic element to this program. What Rondale Moore has dealt with over the course of his 3-year playing career is several season-ending injuries, and really struggled to find the success that made him, he's really struggled to find
college thought. And at the University of Purdue, if anybody got to watch him throughout the course of his college career, Rondale Moore was 110% badass. Speedster, electric, dynamic with the ball in his hands. I remember his freshman year at Purdue was one of the most special things I ever saw. From the opening game of the college season, he was on one. When he got to the NFL, though, as I mentioned a moment ago, he's had to deal with a litany of injuries, and
keep him up.
This show that we do is for everybody, right? I say it all the time. We're family here on Western One Sports Night. This show that we do is for everybody, but everybody can't relate to everything if you pick up what I'm putting down. A lot of you all out there, there's a bunch of you out there, and we love it. We go coast to coast here with you every weekend here on Westwood One Sports, and we get calls and participation and things of that nature, feedback from all shapes, sizes, and different walks of life, right? Some of you have played Little League football. Some of you haven't played Little League football. Some of you have played high school football. Some of you haven't. Some of you have played college football. Some of you haven't. We even had a pro call the show during the week. So we get literally just about any and everybody calling into this program. The one thing that I caution folks out there, whether you got a loved one that's younger than you or somebody that you know that plays sports at any level, check on your folks, especially during times of injury, especially during times of adversity, when they're going through trials and tribulations. The Rondale Moore thing, man, it hit home for me because, like I continue to say, I feel like I can almost relate to some of the dark spaces that he was in, man. I've never got the chance to play at the NFL level. I've never got the chance to play professionally, but I aspired to play college football. I completed that goal of playing college football before eventually hanging it up due to injury. And I'm not speaking on this to try and get any pity on my lack of success during my playing career. But the reality of the situation is anybody that's gone through any type of significant injury and dealt with any sort of significant rehab, you understand just how dark some of those days are. You understand the reality of the situation. And when I talk about those days being dark, I don't say that to try and glorify it. I don't say that to try and hype it up. I say that coming and speaking from experience. I say that because it was my reality, man. I tore my ACL twice in the span of 16 months. And it was leading into my college football career. And you think about the excitement that a high school football player has, getting the opportunity to get recruited to go play at the next level, and you're already hurt. I was already hurt. Tore my ACL. I say it all the time here on the show if you really listen closely. I tore my ACL on senior night in high school. I lost offers from Division II schools. The little contact that I was having with a Division I school ended up breaking off. And it was a moment in my life that was honestly one of the darkest places I've ever been in, man, especially for somebody like me who hadn't suffered any sort of major injury throughout the course of my little league career, my high school career to that point. When you are going through ACL rehab, and that's something that Rondale Moore has dealt with here over the past couple of years. When you're going through ACL rehab, there are points in time during your rehab where you question whether or not you'll ever get the opportunity to walk again. Here for a second. Be a human here for a second. Imagine football is everything that you've ever done for the entirety of your life, and then all of a sudden it's stripped away from you. And then you work your way back from injury, and it's a 9 to 12 month grueling process in which you challenge yourself and you doubt yourself and you feel every emotion possible, man. If you haven't went through it, man, I'm trying to explain it to you here in real time. I hope I'm doing a good job of it. It's World of college hoops. Next.
It's a heavyweight Big 12 showdown. Houston and Kansas, with the Jayhawks needing a statement win in the worst way. Tomorrow night, 9 o'clock Eastern, on Westwood One and the Westwood One Sports app.
Hey, so I'm trying to change the settings on the mic here. So you're hearing everything in the studio.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Like, it sounds like everything is getting picked up.
It's probably coming right out of the computer. I don't know where it. Hold on, Linnell's calling me. Hey, Linnell. The guy training is with me. I was just talking to Carlos on the other line. Something to do with the microphone settings, is picking everything up here in the studio.
4 minutes.
You can't hear programming. You should be hearing programming. You're on. Can you hear me down the line? Testing, testing. Did you hear any of the music coming in?
The broadcast will be
Westwood One Sports presents Lindell Willingham.
You're good.
They're rocking and rolling here on Westwood One Sports, taking you coast to coast here on a Sports Sunday, rather, with the youngest in charge, Rondale Willingham. We get you up to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Number to call is 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. You can tweet at me as well, same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. Appreciate you being here with us. However you're checking us out, Sirius XM, channel 375, WestwoodOneSports.com, and the always free Westwood One Sports app. If you missed the opening segment of the show, man, I encourage you at the end of this bad boy to go back and listen. Really heartfelt thoughts from me surrounding the big tragedy that we had last night in the National Football League. Rondale Moore, wide receiver for the Minnesota Vikings, found in a garage with a self-inflicted gunshot wound. He passes away at the age of 25, and I reiterate the message here quickly for those of you that are just now getting the opportunity to join the program. Injuries are nothing to joke around. Injuries are nothing to play around with when it comes to these pros in the National Football League, Major League Baseball, so on and so forth, man. This sport that we watch for leisure, that they play for millions of dollars, it is their life. It is their life. And I know it's easy to take it for granted, and it's easy to, have your personal thoughts, beliefs.
Lindell Willingham,
Got
Westwood
money
One
that you put on the games. People say a lot of crazy, wild, bombastic things to these athletes, and I warn you that they are humans too.
What do you want to say?
310-840-4910 is the number. Can we get right into this now? Now that we've got that on the back burner, and I don't mean to abruptly move away, but we do got to get into what I've called one of the best days of college basketball in a minute. A crazy day in hoops. Upsets galore. Big-time performances from some star-studded freshmen throughout the country yesterday. It was
Love it, Mike. Hold on.
a
That will
special
take
day in college basketball. Also a special day for your Patriots as well. USA, Canada underway right now with 11:29 left to go in the opening period. USA up 1-0 over Canada. To the college basketball, though, man, 'cause that is what had my attention throughout the course of the afternoon. We're going to get to Darren Peterson in Kansas coming up here momentarily. The gift that keeps on giving, the content that keeps on contenting is the best way that I would put it. But there were some upsets yesterday throughout the course of college basketball. Number 19, Vanderbilt going down at home to their SEC foe, Tennessee. We had, as I mentioned, Kansas go down at home to Big 12 rival Cincinnati. They lost by 16. You had number 10, Illinois, go down on the road against UCLA. Jonathan Dent with a go-ahead layup with a second remaining in overtime. That was one of the best games of the afternoon. BYU in the Big 12 after dark matchup with a 10-point win at home against 6th-ranked Iowa State. Arizona coming up big on the road, going to Houston. My Houston Cougars. I don't know if I've officially drawing my line in the sand, so to speak, about which college basketball team I go hard in the paint for. I am a Houston Cougars fan. So excuse me if I get a little bit salty and worked up this morning when we're talking about college basketball. At home by 7 to the Arizona Wildcats. And then number 1, Michigan, going down in a neutral site game, the Edward Jones Capital Showcase from Cap One Arena in the nation's capital. One of the games of the year as number 3 Duke comes up with the win. I want to start with that game because I said it yesterday here on the program. This was an opportunity for Cam Boozer to really establish himself, or reestablish himself, so to speak, as the best player in the land. And I think he did that against one of the best front courts in all of college basketball. Talking about Michigan's group and the length and the size that they have on the interior. I mean, for Boozer to be able to maneuver the way that he did, it was really, really impressive, especially when you consider the circumstances. It got in early foul trouble, really had to rely on the others, and I think that's the other really impressive piece about Duke's win as well. They had to play without Cam Boozer for a chunk of this game. He was a non-factor for parts of this thing. He ultimately registered 34 minutes on the evening.
Hamburger.
But it wasn't your typical Cam Boozer performance. He got up 10 shots, 6 of 10, 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 2 blocks, 4 offensive rebounds. He just made his presence felt, man, and he just makes winning basketball plays night in and night out, and he's a really, really impressive young man to keep tabs on and to watch and to follow. He's got the goods. And I know I've questioned him, and I'll rank the top freshman in college basketball to close out this hour with Nell Super Six Pack. But just know there was some movement yesterday based off of the performances of some of these young men. For Boozer in Duke yesterday, though, that's the type of win for me that really solidifies who you are, right? Like, that's the type of win that really shows the rest of the country how legit you are. Michigan was the #1 team in the land coming in. Big as hell up front with what they have at the small forward, the power forward, and the center spot. Length with Mara in the middle. Lindenborg put up 21 yesterday. He shoots the lights out for the Wolverines all season long. But for Duke to be able to handle the physicality of Michigan right off the rip in this one, I thought was impressive. They won the rebounding battle by 13. They held Michigan to 6 of 25 from the. I thought it was a really impressive win. When you but they ultimately found a way to gut it out. They were 5-point winners. And I think, like I've kind of hinted at here, I think Duke Blue Devils may be the best team in all of college basketball. Really, Cam Boozer, a couple other magnificent performances throughout the course of college basketball. One star-studded freshman to another. AJ DeBoxer. Woo! Look, it's been all year long. It's nothing new what we're seeing from DeBonce. He has been that guy all year long.
Burger.
Last night, at home, against the 6th-ranked team in the country, all eyes are on you. After big-time freshman performances earlier in the day, A.J. DeBonce, 1 assist shy of a triple-double. He played all 40 minutes in this. 10 of 17 from the field, 2 of 4 from downtown,
Tested.
29 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. We're going to rank the top 6 freshmen in college basketball coming up here in about 15 minutes or so. Keep teasing it. Because the list is fluid. People are moving right now in my brain as I'm sitting here talking. But A.J. DeBonce, woo! I just continue to be impressed with him, just how effortless he makes it. And last night we saw, and it's not going to show up in the stat sheet, he only had a steal and a block. His impact on the defensive end was just as impressive. He's had some big-time scoring performances throughout the course of the year. Last night, to me, wasn't even about his scoring. It was about his impact everywhere else. He only finished with 9 assists. His teammates couldn't hit the wide side of a barn. There were 7 of 25 from downtown last night. And DeBonce routinely on triple drives, making the defense collapse, boom, kicking the basketball out for wide open looks. His teammates unable to capitalize. I don't want to give it away because I want to let you get to it.
How about now?
Kid is the best kid in all of college basketball. I don't know who is. I mean, what he did last night, and it's not just about last night's performance. I don't want to make it seem like it's just about one game for DeMonte. It's been all year long. It's been all year long. This kid, the moment is never too big for him, ever. He has come up big, time in and time out. And I would say this about DeBonsa compared to the rest of the freshman class, the rest of the candidates to go number one overall. He's probably, this is no shade to the folks at BYU, Drake Toll, I'm sorry. He's probably got the worst supporting cast of all of the star-studded freshmen right now in college basketball. DeBonsa's got to do it all by himself. I don't think the rest of his team is worth a damn. And that's no shade or slight towards them. They were 7 of 25 last night from three. DeBonsa was 2 for 4 himself. Man, I don't know. I'm impressed, though, man. He continues to just understand it in his control over the game, playing at his own pace, playing at his own tempo. Like, I get worked up talking about it because I love watching good hoops. AJ DeBonsa, baby. I don't know. This is, I said it yesterday. I know people probably are thinking, are you trying to get clicks when you say something like that? This is going to go down as the best freshman class maybe of all time. This draft lottery is going to go down as one of the best of all time. Star-studded performance after star-studded performance after star-studded performance, man. You see it night in, night out. And once again, can I give some love to the Big 12 After Dark? It is the best conference in college basketball. Talking about the Big 12. Argue with somebody else, not me. Point blank. It is the best conference in all of college basketball. And it's not up for debate. I almost didn't get to watch the best game that happened yesterday in the Big 12. As we got to see my Houston Cougars ultimately fall in heartbreaking fashion at home to Arizona by 7. So I'll tell you a little story here quickly. I always said I go by the youngest in charge. I'm 28 years of age. I'm also broke as hell, cheap as hell, if we're being honest and transparent about this, right? So I am basically looking for any financial shortcut possible. So I don't have YouTube TV. I don't watch Hulu Live TV. I can't afford none of that yet. You know, I'm humble with my progression as an American citizen. You know what I'm saying? I'm not bougie. So I illegally pirate everything. All sporting events get illegally streamed. Streamies, crack streams, meth streams, the TV app.to, you name it, Kazam. I've got it all, baby, in terms of illegally pirating my sporting events. Yesterday, the world had something for you, boy. Every website I went on wasn't showing the game. Couldn't find the game. So then I decided, you know what? I want to catch Arizona and Houston. My Cougars in action. One of the probably most highly anticipated regular season games of the season. Lit environment. I wanted to be a part of it. So I decided, you know what? I'll spend some change. I'm looking up daily TV services. They got Sling, Fubo. I go with Sling. I sign up. I ended up paying $5 for a one-day, 24-hour subscription. So I'm like, that's all I need. If I want to watch games tomorrow, I'll do it again tomorrow. Or I'll find, hopefully my websites are back working. I pay $5 to Sling. These Bamas don't even have ABC. How the hell are you charging somebody to stream television and you don't even got all the channels? It's like going to one of my auntie's house back in the day and we having to watch bootleg movies instead of being able to watch the real games. Come on, man. Sling TV, do better. And I tweeted at them. You all can tweet at me as well at NELL_BTP. And when I tweeted at Sling, they responded, but didn't tell me how to watch the game. I found out Sling and ABC beefing a little bit. They don't stream ABC games. Stupid as hell. I want my $5 back. I ultimately ended up doing a 5-day free trial of YouTube TV. I may get a 10-day trial because I have hella emails. So hopefully your boy has a safe and secure method to watch games here moving forward. 310-840-4910 is the number. Just getting rolling as we take you coast to coast here on a Sports Sunday with the youngest in charge right here on Westwood One Sports. The biggest story in college basketball was the availability or lack thereof for Kansas guard Darren Peterson. He was back in action yesterday, but it wasn't good enough for the Jayhawks. We'll recap Kansas and Arizona next.
NFL franchise tag window is open, with free agency starting within weeks. If it happens between now and kickoff, we'll tell you.
kicking it to you as we take you coast to coast here on this Sports Sunday with the youngest in charge, Rondale Willingham, right here on Westwood One Sports, taking you up to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Number to hit me up, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. You can tweet at me as well, same handle on each and every social media platform. It is at NELL_BTP. Appreciate you locking in with the show, however you're doing so. Sirius XM, channel 375, WestwoodOneSports.com, and the always free Westwood One Sports app. Coming up here, we'll bring you a fresh installment of the most highly anticipated power ranking segment in all of sports talk radio. We'll get you a fresh installment of No Super Six Pack, top 6 freshmen in college basketball. We'll do that coming up here momentarily.
Testing.
But man, I got to get to my guy DP, Darren Peterson, highly scrutinized young freshman here from highly scrutinized young freshman that I continue to go to bat for. You can check us out on YouTube and X as well if you want to check out the live stream on my X account at NELL_BTP, as well as on YouTube. Make sure you search Westwood One Sports Night. I've continued to go to bat for Darren Peterson pretty much every chance that I've got. And yesterday, the Darren Peterson saga took another turn. Yesterday, the Darren Peterson saga added another layer, added another chapter, so to speak. Yesterday, Darren Peterson, 8th ranked Kansas, went down at home to Big 12 rival Cincinnati, who was a game under 500 in conference play entering this one. They really lost because Mustafa Thiem went Kanye crazy, had an outer body experience, a career high 28 points, including 2 of 5 from downtown. He was virtually unstoppable, and Kansas ultimately couldn't hit the wide side of a barn. They were 4 of 18 on the evening from the great beyond. But Darren Peterson is what we care about. 17 points on 7 of 17 shooting, 1 of 7 from 3, 4 rebounds and assists, had a steal as well. I watched most of this game. I ain't gonna sit here and lie and say I watched every second. I watched most of this game. And I had been hesitant to bring these thoughts to the air because I understand how hard in the paint I've gone for Darren Peterson. I understand that I have basically left no stone unturned in terms of trying to defend him to the general public, right? Like, that's just been the reality of the situation. Every week for the past month, I've come up here and told you all why you shouldn't worry about Darren Peterson, why NBA scouts aren't worried about Darren Peterson. Yesterday, and I'm confident saying this today on the air because I saw others mention it on social media, and I know that you all like to corroborate evidence. I like to do that too. I don't believe something when just one person says it. I need multiple people on the same damn page, right? Anybody that watched yesterday was clearly able to see there is some sort of physical limitation going on with Darren Peterson. He was not himself. If you watch this kid in high school and you watch the burst and the athleticism that he played with, what you've seen throughout the course of his freshman year at times, it's alarming. It's staggering. He is so far from what he was in high school. Why? Not because he's some selfish me guy the way you all portray him to be. No. The kid in reality is actually a certified tough ass and has been playing through injury all year long. So once again, I get on this platform that I am blessed to have, and I tell you, you owe Darren Peterson an apology. America owes Darren Peterson an apology. Bottom line. And it's not just me anymore, because I have maintained the same stance on this throughout the entirety of the controversy. Nothing's changed with me on this. Nothing's changed for me on this. Oh, I can't wait till Wednesday. If you don't think there are going to be fireworks on Wednesday with myself and Josh Graham, the King of North Kakalaki tag teaming up, then you don't know what's good for you. Because we have gone through this, and I've heard just about every host on this network give Darren Peterson crap for pulling himself out of games. Why is he pulling himself out of games, America? Because the kid is hurt. So instead of chastising Darren Peterson for pulling himself out of games, we should be applauding Darren Peterson for having the mental fortitude, for having the toughness to put his pride to the side and go out there and give it everything he's got, despite him being hurt. If he was this selfish me guy that you all portray him to be, he would have sat his ass down. He wouldn't still be playing. He could have shut it down way earlier in the season and still would have been considered a consensus top 3 pick in this draft because the talent, as I continue to scream for the mountaintops, is undeniable. Bottom line, it just is what it is. The talent is undeniable. And as we saw yesterday, as we've seen throughout the course of the year, the only thing stopping Darren Peterson is physical limitations. This kid, for my money, is still one of the best talents in all of college basketball. And I don't think it's up for debate. I don't. But yesterday, man, if you got the chance to watch this basketball game, it was clear on so many different occasions that this dude wasn't right. His personal trainer, Phil Beckner, tweeted this out yesterday. Adam Finkelstein, and I want to make sure I credit Finkelstein properly. He is the director of basketball scouting for CBS Sports. He put out a piece or was on with Michael Swain yesterday on CBS Sports HQ, and they were having a conversation. You can tell when watching when the cramping starts because he stops. His movements slow down. He's not as active off the ball. He's stagnant. He's stationary. There was a moment last night, yesterday afternoon, where you could clearly tell, based off of his mannerisms, his movements, his body language on 2 or 3 possessions prior, and then all of a sudden, everything stops. All of a sudden, everything stops. And he can't move. Well, not that he can't move, but he's not moving with any sort of urgency. You can even tell in the elevation on his jump shot. Before the cramps set in, first of all, jumper is butter with the cramps without. But you can tell when he's shooting the basketball.
Nothing matters. He knows he has a call, right? He has a call,
before,
right?
he's clearly getting 3-4 inches off the ground. When the cramps set in, he's like shooting on his tippy toes. Something's going on with Darren Peterson. And I feel bad for him because he's been scrutinized. His name has been dragged through the mud. Your favorite college basketball analysts need to get their head out of their ass and actually get some facts and information before we start ragging on a kid. A teenager at that. Kiss my ass. I'm so tired of the way that this has been talked about without any facts. That's the frustrating part. You give me facts, you can say whatever the hell you want. If you don't have facts, shut up. So tired of the way this kid has been covered and talked about because it's totally unfair to him as a young man. Worked his ass off to get in this spot. And the folks out there talking couldn't do half the crap that he's doing while injured. So that's why I get frustrated. That's why I get impassioned about the situation. Because Bush League is garbage. Well, why doesn't his camp just say something, Linnell? His camp doesn't owe you a damn thing. His camp doesn't have to speak ever again if they don't want to. He's at Kansas to play basketball, not answer to you armchair athletic directors in the media. Bottom line. So tired of this kid being unfairly scrutinized, and it pisses me off even more because he's a baller, guys. He's elite. You can't name me 5 players better than him in college basketball. You can't. But it's okay. Every dog has its day. Kansas is ranked still. Tough loss for them yesterday. They're eventually going to be in the NCAA tournament. Right? Like they're eventually going to make it to March. They're going to be whatever seed they get seeded as. If he is healthy come the month of March, America's in trouble. If he's healthy come the month of March, America's in trouble. All that's holding this kid back right now is health. It's the only thing. And once again, while you all are taking a bunch of time to rag on him, once again, I'm going to take the high road. I'm going to be the guy that tells you, hey, it ain't all so bad when it comes to Darren Peterson. As I've continued to tell you over the past month, he's fine. Everything is okay with Darren Peterson. I'm just glad that now folks are speaking up on his behalf. And I hate it. Why doesn't he speak to the media now if he wants all this to go away? Kiss my tuchus. He doesn't owe you all any explanation. He doesn't. Bottom line. He'll figure it out. His camp will figure it out. Like I said yesterday, and like I've said over the past couple of weeks, y'all can fret and be in a panic and get your panties in a wad all you want. That's not who I am. I judge guys off of talent. I don't speak on things I don't know about. You all should do the same. 310-840-4910 is the number. 310-840-4910 is the number. While we're at it, and this was hard for me because I want to give everybody love. I keep saying it. I think this is the best freshman class that we've seen in a long time. I think this draft lottery is going to be one of the best we've ever seen in terms of just the sheer volume of talent that exists on all of these teams, mostly of the freshman variety. How do we sort this talent out? That's what I'm worried about. I told you Darren Peterson's elite. You know how I feel about DeBonson. Where would I rank him amongst the top freshmen, the top players in all of college basketball? Without further ado, it is time for the most highly anticipated power ranking segment in all of sports talk radio. Nell Super Six Pack, my top 6 players in the world of college basketball.
It's the most highly anticipated power ranking segment in all sports radio. Sit back, crack a can. It's time for Nell's Super Six Pack.
Without further ado, let's get into it. Appreciate the big voice guy introducing us here. This was a weekend in college basketball. This was a Saturday in college basketball where we saw some movement when it comes to Nell's Super Six Pack. Let's get right into it. I'll be very transparent here. The number 6 spot on this list, just as prestigious as the number 1 spot on this list. Why? Because to be a part of this list, that means you're a part of the absolute elite. You're better than the rest of the country. You're everything we think you could be. You have star power. You're a potential top 10 pick. You're a potential freshman of the year. Because guess what? This list, chock full of freshmen. Number 6 on this list came down to 3 different guys. And I'll tell you who the 3 candidates were. Keaton Wagler, the freshman guard from Illinois. Kingston Flemings, the freshman guard from the University of Houston. And then Michael Brown Jr., the freshman guard from Louisville. Those 3, I wanted to put them all at number 6, but I can't do that. I'm going to make a choice here. I'm going to give it to Keaton Wagler, and here's why. I think this kid, Keaton Wagler's got the size. I think he's got the defensive versatility, being able to guard 1 through 3 legitimately. And I think of those 3 dudes, he is the best pure scorer in terms of just flat out putting the ball in the bucket on a consistent basis. Yesterday versus UCLA, in overtime loss, 19 points, 2 blocks, a steal, 6 assists, 8 boards for Keaton Wagler. Kid can play. I want to see if Illinois is going to be able to make some noise in the tournament. The kid Wagler, 6'6", 185, Shawnee, Kansas native, has come and turned things up for Coach Underwood. I think I'm higher on Keaton Wagler than most folks are. I feel like some folks look at the shooting splits and the percentages and go, if we're splitting hairs here, he's not efficient. I don't get that. He's that darn good. So Colin Boswell, who has been really their second best offensive player throughout the course of the year, the third best offensive player, he is now back after missing time with a back injury, or a shoulder injury rather. Now Keaton Wagler's not going to get as much defensive attention. I think he plays even better here down the stretch. Number 5, Nell Super Six Pack, my top 6 players in the world of college basketball, baby. Number 5, Arkansas freshman point guard Darius Acuff Jr. It was hard, man. I wanted to put Acuff higher on this list. He has had the best week out of anybody on this list. If you got to watch on, what was it, Wednesday night? Ooh, week. Darius Acuff, 49 points, 5 assists, 6 of 10 from beyond the arc as Arkansas went on the road against Alabama and gave the Crimson Tide everything they can handle. He is making a genuine push to not only be a top 5 pick, but to be SEC Player of the Year. He leads the SEC in both scoring and assists in conference games. His past 6 games entering the week before he went federal and dropped 49, he was averaging 26, 7 assists, and 2 turnovers while shooting 50% from beyond the arc. Darius Acuff Jr., a bad man. He is number 5 in no Super Six Pack. My top 6 freshmen in the world of college basketball. Number 4, he's on the shelf right now. Caleb Wilson from the University of North Carolina. This kid is a two-way star at the NBA level. I love his defense. That's the reason I'm so high on him. The offensive game, still a work in progress. Athletic is all outdoors, can jump out the gym. Nice touch around the rim. Want to see him shoot the ball from the perimeter a little bit better. But Caleb Wilson, highlight blocks, can legitimately guard 1 through 5. He is going to make an NBA friend. I am switching this. Number 2, I'm going to give it to Darren Peterson. For the first time all year long, I am calling someone else the best player in all of college basketball. Darren Peterson, we just talked about him ad nauseum. Battling through adversity, playing through injury. He deserves to be number 1 because we don't even know how good he actually is because he's been playing hurt all year. But Devonta was so good last night. Damn near registering a triple-double as BYU picked up a big victory over Iowa State at home. 10 of 17 from the field, 29 points, 10 rebounds, 9 assists. Should have had something like 14, 15 assists. If his teammates could hit the wide side of a barn, BYU 7 of 25 last night from the three-point line. Didn't matter. Devonta doing too much. 10-point victory for BYU. He was awesome. And that is now Super Six Pack. Hopefully you thought that was awesome. My top 6 freshmen in the world of college basketball. Number 6, Keaton Wagler, freshman guard from Illinois. Number 5, Darius Acuff Jr., freshman guard from Arkansas. Number 4, freshman swingman from North Carolina, Caleb Wilson. Number 3, Cam Boozer of Duke. Number 2, Darren Peterson of Kansas. And number 1, AJ Devonta. NFL Scouting Combine coming up this week in Indianapolis. The official mixing bowl of the NFL offseason is what I like to call it. A bunch of tea is going to be spilled. The framework for a lot of the big deals coming up this offseason going to be put in place coming up in Indianapolis at the Combine. Speaking of the offseason, which team has the most pressure on them going into the NFL offseason? I'll tell you next.
Seahawks are expected to place their franchise tag on Kenneth Walker. Could the Super Bowl MVP be on another team next season? Get ready. The free agent crazy is coming on West Football Sports.
here on a Sports Sunday here on Westwood One Sports. Number to call me, 310-840-4910, 310-840-4910. You can tweet at me as well.
All right, stand by, Carlos. I'm going to adjust your settings on the phone feed. They're going to be playback.
BTP. Appreciate you locking in. However you're doing so. Sirius XM, channel 375, WestwoodOneSports.com, the always free Westwood One Sports app. You check out the visual element of the show as well. We're on YouTube. Just make sure you search Westwood One Sports Night and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Long form content of the show. And then the show in its entirety.
I test down the line. Testing.
A lot more to get to, including a couple of
Got you loud and clear.
here on Saturdays and Sundays. We'll take coast to coast. We'll go cap or facts coming up in the 10 o'clock hour. We'll also go say what to get you the best audio in the world of sports. I'm going to put a pin in the college basketball conversation before I blow a gasket here on a Sunday morning. And I don't mean to, and I know I don't need to apologize for this, but I'm going to do it anyway because I'm trying to be a good person. I don't mean to talk at anyone. I don't mean to yell at anyone. But when something doesn't sit right with me, from like a morality standpoint,
Everything's so
I
different.
have to speak out. And that's really what I was doing in that last segment.
Well, they probably do
I
change
apologize to
things
everybody out
during the
there
day.
offended
You know, when you're not
by
when
what I had to say.
you're not here. They're probably
It's just the fact
moving things around.
and the reality of the situation for me.
Yeah.
Don't speak on something. Don't slander someone unless you had all the facts.
They're probably changing
310-840-4910
things, and they're not going back to the way it was.
is the number. I want to get to the National Football League. NFL
And you got
Combine
to deal with it.
coming up this week in Indianapolis is basically like one big club out there in Indianapolis, right? All the GMs and agents, scouts, everybody's talking, spilling tea, right? And this is where some of the big time deals of the offseason, this is where the framework for some of those deals are put in place. This is where the framework for some of these deals are put in place, right? I expect fireworks this offseason. It happens every year in the NFL offseason. There's always something that comes out of nowhere. Last year, the quarterback drama that we saw with Sam Darnold ultimately going to Seattle and Geno going to Las Vegas. Things happen. Aaron Rodgers signing with the Steelers. There's always big-time movement, big-time noise in the offseason. The DK trade, the George Pickens deal, like all of that, it happens every offseason, man. In those deals, the first ingredients for those deals being put in place, they happen out in Indianapolis at the Scouting Combine. That comes up this week. Speaking of the Scouting Combine, y'all know I've been all over the NFL draft in terms of just my thoughts on the prospects. Y'all know the trade proposal that I put out earlier this week suggesting that maybe, just maybe, the Raiders should trade that number one overall pick. As we sit here this morning, I feel even more convicted in my belief, in my thought, that the Raiders should trade the number one overall pick. Bottom line, I don't believe Fernando Mendoza is a franchise-altering talent at the quarterback position. That's where the basis of that argument comes from. It's my lack of belief in Fernando Mendoza. Not that I don't think he's a first-round quarterback, but as we know, right, first-round quarterbacks do not come in all – it's not a one-size-fit-all, so to speak, right? First-round quarterbacks come in all shapes and sizes. Go back to the 2024 class. There's a major difference between Caleb, Drake, and Jayden Daniels. Why? Because all first-round quarterbacks aren't created equal. J.J. McCarthy, Mike Penix, they don't look like they're in the same stratosphere as the other guys, do they? That's how I feel about Mendoza. I feel like if you're the Raiders, especially with the infrastructure that's currently in place there in Las Vegas, while I admit it can get better quickly because of the resources, I'm not too certain that the quarterback, that's a good environment. Here's why. I think the offense is super quarterback friendly. That Clint Kubiak scheme that's a branch off of the Shanahan tree. Quarterback friendly scheme, West Coast zone run scheme. We love it. Quarterback friendly. Ask Sam Darnold. Ask Gino. Right? Here's the thing, though. Fernando Mendoza's absolute best. At Mendoza's apex, I think he's the 13th, 14th, 15th best quarterback in the NFL. I don't think that the physical tools are good enough. Mobility, the arm talent overall. Now, he was accurate as hell in college. The back shoulder was beautiful. You saw him layer throws. I worry about his ability to do all those things that he does well. I worry, can he do it under? Because when you look at Fernando Mendoza and how he functioned this year under pressure,
How we doing?
wasn't good enough. And you saw it against Miami in the championship, where Akeem Messidor and Ruben Bain, when they got after his ass, he looked like a different quarterback. Now, ultimately, he got the last laugh with the big-time scramble that he made towards the end. But to start that second half, man, when he was under siege and his offensive line was getting beat the hell up, he struggled. This is the thing with Mendoza. That Indiana offensive line was arguably the best in college football. His receiving corps with Omar Cooper and Surratt, those are draftable, and if those are guys that are going to go on day 2. How does Mendoza look when it's not 75 and sunny? I want to see how you function when it's 17 degrees outside and you ain't got nothing but a wife beater. It's a Reebok kit. I want to see how you function then. Can you shake a leg and lose one in that situation? I don't believe that. So if I was the Raiders, I would be looking at Malik Willis. But I'm more convicted in that thought because Fernando Mendoza announced yesterday he is not going to throw at the NFL Combine. Ty Simpson, who most people view as the second best quarterback in this class, he is going to throw this week coming up in Indianapolis. I'm not going to sit here and beat Mendoza over the head with a hammer because he's electing not to throw. We see this all the time during the combine process, during the NFL draft process, right? It ain't nothing new. I don't know if Mendoza's good enough to move that way. Why would scouts not want to see him throw? If you haven't gotten a chance to see it up close in person, you don't want to see the zip, the velocity. Now I get it. He's going to throw it in the pro day, but that's down the line. That's once again when he's comfortable with his receiver. I want to see how you function when everything's not going well for you, when it isn't an ideal set of circumstances. But I'm not going to ding him for that because it's common practice for the top quarterback to bypass the combine. But I am eager to see the 3-cone, the shuttle, how he runs, how he tests as far as the bench. Like, I want to know about the physical tools of Fernando Mendoza because that's where I have the question when it comes to him. The physical tools. That's what I got to see from him. And it feels like, I don't know, man, because I was met with a lot of backlash on social media. A lot of people were not happy when I suggested that Vegas should trade the number 1 pick and not draft Mendoza. A lot of people were PO'd about that. A lot of people, though, also felt where I was coming from. So shout out to you if you was on the same page. If not, we love you too. I'm so convicted in my thoughts with that. But Combine comes up this week. I expect a lot of things to be discussed, including the future of Tua Tagovailoa. Can Miami this week in Indianapolis find a trade partner? There's going to be some big quarterback movement this week. You will find out a hell of a lot about teams' plans this offseason coming up this week. It's damn near my favorite week of the year, Slim. I love Combine week. I make the example all the time of when things get messy, I compare it to the Zeus Network. The Combine out of Indy, at that steakhouse when a GM or reporters have one too many and they get a little loose at the lips? Give it to me. Inject it into my veins. I love it. But that's what I expect to find out this week in Indy. We're going to get a lot of movement on quarterback, I expect. Because there's a lot of quarterbacks that are going to be on the move potentially. Tua, can Miami find a trade partner for Tua, or are they going to have to cut him? Kyler Murray, is Arizona, same question. Are they going to find a trade partner for Kyler, or are they going to have to cut him? I also look at a veteran name, like a Kirk Cousins. Does he get some clarity on where he is going to end up potentially? If you're the Minnesota Vikings, you're putting out feelers to agents of, hey, your guy won't come here and compete with OJJ or what? Right? Like all of that stuff gets discussed this week. If you're the Cowboys, I know we let you know earlier during the week, Rap Sheet reported that, hey, Dallas might move on from Pickett. They may tag and trade. If you're the Cowboys, if you're Stephen Jones and company, the framework for a trade gets brought to the forefront out in Indianapolis. That's when this stuff happens. So this week, I'm telling you, while some people are going to be worried about the Underwear Olympics and how fast someone runs and so on and so forth, I'll be concerned about that as well. Like I said, it matters to me. I'm a junkie for the process. But what I'm really locked in on is the scuttlebutt that comes out of Indianapolis. I mentioned the veteran option of Kirk Cousins. There's another veteran option out there that has representation that's probably going to be at the combine looking to see, hey, do you all want me or not? Derek Carr. Derek Carr said it. I will come out of retirement for the right situation. I will come out of retirement for the chance to win a Super Bowl. I don't know who's ultimately going to end up on Derek Carr. I don't know if he ultimately gets a job. But if he does, it'll be talked about this week at the combine. That is what this week is for. That is what this week is about. It's all about gossip. It's all about spilling tea. Point blank. Max Crosby. You don't think preliminary discussions are going to be had surrounding his future? You don't think the Raiders are going to be taking calls potentially for that number 1 overall pick? I don't have, look, this isn't me reporting. This is pure speculation. So don't get it twisted. I think they're going to end up moving off of that number 1 pick. I think there's going to be a quarterback needy team that's desperate to go up and get a guy, and they're going to give the Raiders an offer they can't refuse. The framework of that potential deal goes down where? At the combine. Just is what it is. Just is what it is. Free agency opens up in about a month. Less than a month. Couple weeks, really? Wow. Free agency opens up in the NFL in a couple weeks. Agents are out there in Indy. Those conversations for these deals, those preliminary discussions happen where? In Indy at the combine. So let's just say that the combine in Indianapolis is where the big boys come to play. This portion of the show brought to you by our friends at Progressive Commercial Insurance, protecting your business vehicles 24/7. See if you can save at progressivecommercial.com. NFL Combine coming up this week from Indianapolis. It's where the framework of a lot of big-time deals are going to be put into place. There is one team that has the most pressure on them going into the NFL offseason. I'll tell you who that is next.
The Colts have a QB decision to make. Cut, trade, or keep Anthony Richardson, the former number 3 overall.
I think he should be under the most pressure this year.
I think that's fascinating because San Francisco, and I appreciate the call, man. San Francisco is an interesting group, and I agree
All right,
with most
cool,
of
Jeff. Hold on
what,
tight. We'll get you in here.
the last caller just said about the Niners and, quite frankly, their inability to get over the hump. Rich in California bringing it strong. Yeah, like the Niners, it's tough because Kyle Shanahan could have won Coach of the Year this past year. I thought he did a hell of a coaching job when you consider the attrition that this team dealt with from week 1 of the NFL regular season. Got hurt at all 3 levels of the defense. Got hurt at the skill position spots offensively. Offensive line was banged up. Quarterback went down. They had to deal with so much adversity talking about San Francisco. So for them to be able to overcome it the way that they did, I think they deserve a lot of credit. But on the flip side, yeah, like for Kyle, they haven't been able to get over the hump. They've lost in the Super Bowl. They've made it to the conference championship, but for whatever reason, they haven't been able to get over the hump. What changes about that this year? The other big piece that Rich and Callie didn't bring up, Kyle's got to find a new defensive coordinator every other year, it feels like. And with Robert Saleh taking the Tennessee job, Raheem Morris comes in to be the defensive coordinator, and he's got a lot of pressure on him too. He keeps hiring his damn friends. Stop hiring your friends, Kyle. Maybe Raheem is able to stay there and be the guy for a while, but feels like that's been the Achilles heel with San Fran. They can't figure it out defensively when it matters. 310-840-4910 NFL Scouting Combine coming up this week in Indianapolis. It's where the framework of the biggest deals of the offseason are going to be put in place. It's where all the tea gets spilled. A lot of gossiping going on, GMs talking, scouts talking, insiders talking. So it's bound to get messy out in Indianapolis. Speaking of messy, which NFL team is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the 2026 offseason? Jeff is in Seattle, wants to check in. Jeff, welcome into Westwood One Sports, brother.
First off, I just got to say, Super Bowl champions, let's go.
I dig it. I dig it.
But I ain't calling about them. I'm calling about your Detroit Lions. Is Dan Campbell a good head coach? Does he make the right calls? They've got the best running back in the world in Gibbs. I mean, they make the playoffs. They break the history, the losing trends. And then what happened to them last year? They just disappeared? They got better on defense. They still got a all-world running back.
Yeah, the Lions are an interesting one because of all the reasons you named. I think what we saw last year with the Lions is what happens when you lose both of your coordinators, and it's why I'm worried about my Commanders coming up this year. When you lose both of your coordinators, man, it puts a lot of onus and pressure on the head coach. And to your point, offensively, they couldn't figure it out. Defensively, they were okay, but the attrition ultimately caught up to them again.
I feel really bad. Well, I just really
want
to get some more
they
stuff
got to
on here,
figure out
bro.
either an extension with Jared Goff.
If you feel like you want to take over, you're welcome to it.
Whatever you want me to
I don't
do.
know if it's this year or next year.
Whatever is best.
Rises to a number that is
whatever won't get in the way of the work you need to do.
untenable. If we're going to be,
I just wanted an engineer to show up, and that's all we kind of like start working on getting this shit right.
Jared Goff via Spotrac.
Oh.
Jared Goff's salary cap. It's not going to happen. So at some point, they're either going to extend Jared Goff, and I think that's really the only option. I don't think Brad Holmes and company, and this is going to sound like I'm coming for him, I don't think Brad Holmes and company have the kahunas to move on from Jared Goff. And it's not like there's a bunch of tremendous viable options out there in terms of a replacement for Jared Goff. But similarly to what I just said about Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, they got to figure something out. That number is untenable. Lamar at 73 is untenable. So Brad Holmes and company, I figure something out. I don't know why I thought that number, for whatever reason, I didn't think that number jumped up until next year. But the reality of the situation is the time is now. Jared Goff, $69.6 million salary cap hit for the 2026 season. He'll be 32 years of age. He is accounting for 23% of the cap. Not tenable. 310-840-4910. 310-840-4910. Which NFL franchise, as we get geared up for the scouting combine this week in Indianapolis, which NFL franchise is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the 2026 offseason? 310-840-4910. This portion of the show sponsored by our friends at Progressive Commercial Insurance. It protects small businesses with affordable coverage options. Get a quote today at progressivecommercial.com. 310-840-4910. Your calls on the NFL team with the most pressure on them heading into the offseason next.
It's a heavyweight big
You're down.
showdown.
YouTube Shorts, and the best content, best segments from the program. Super producer Carlos with a K will have the entirety of the show at the conclusion of the program. Check us out on X as well. It is at NELL_BTP. Appreciate you locking into the program. However you're doing so, Sirius XM channel 375. Check us out on Westwood. Well, the always we get to some NFL quick hits up here momentarily. But we're taking your this scouting combine underway this week, and it's of the biggest deals of the offseason. The agents and GMs and the scouts and the execs. It's where they all link up to talk with one another. This weekend, Indy at the combine. It's spilled, a lot of gossip goes on, and you begin to figure out what it is and what it ain't, in terms of which way your team is going to move in the offseason. There's pressure on a bunch of teams going in. I want you to pick. Give me one team that you think is under the most pressure going into the NFL offseason. 310-840-4910. 310-840-4910. The team that I gave you was the Buffalo Bills. We did it all on Sean McDermott. Now he's not there. What's your excuse? Brandon Beane has to find a way, by hook or by crook, hell or high water. He's got to find a way to drastically improve the receiving core of the Buffalo Bills, as well as the defensive pass rush of the Buffalo Bills. Because Buffalo from the AFC is like my number one team under the most pressure. Giving you Washington from the NFC for similar reasons. You fired both of the coordinators, a major step back. Are you the team that won 4 games, or are you the team that made the conference championship? That's the big question. Washington Commanders headed in to do that. Let's say 310-840-4910. Which NFL team, from your vantage point, under the most pressure as we get geared up to the 2020? Let's go to Ken in Chicago. Wanting to check in. Welcome to Western Sports. What you got?
I got the New England Patriots.
Which team you talking
And
about?
the reason I say that, they have the easiest schedule in the league. And they got luck, the whole league is good. And the whole thing with Vrabel coaching here. I don't think they're as good as we think they are. I think next season they're going to get exposed. Like, who did they really play? You know what I mean?
I think it's a fair point when it comes to the Patriots, man. Their schedule was the easiest in the NFL. And the way that they showed for themselves in the Super Bowl does not help the conversation. To Ken's point, because they want the AFC to play a first-place division schedule next year instead of a last-place division schedule. And Ken, I agree with you. I think that's the separating factor. I don't even have them making the playoffs. Man. So that's how I feel.
I don't think they're going to get exposed.
All right, you're very
when you have the yes, absolutely.
There we go. Congratulations to you for having the best quarterback 2010. And I'm a Commanders fan, and I'm willing to concede that too. Appreciate the calls always, good brother. 310-840-4910 is the number. Which NFL franchise is under the most pressure heading into 2020? I agree with. Not that they're under the most pressure, but I do think conversations around the pictures is certainly fascinating. Under an immense amount of pressure, kind of for the reason that the last call. Are they?
Hold on, I'll get right to you.
Was the regular season? Is that a fluke or not? Their quarterback schedule that they had to play this past year was a joke. Geno Smith, Tua, Rodgers, Bryce Young, Tyler Shaw.
All right, what is your name? What team?
Sanders. It came with Michael Penix.
Okay, where are you?
Justin Fields.
Okay, you Justin.
See Jackson Dart when they played the Patriots.
John. Okay, John.
But they, I look at their quarterback schedule.
The Titans.
If you play a quarterback schedule that soft, you're going to win some games. It's so similar to my beloved man. We were a flash in the pan a year. Came out like gangbusters. because of the quarterbacks. Will the Patriots be able to rebound? That's the big question.
John, Tennessee.
8-4,
Okay.
49-10. Which NFL team is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the 2026 offseason? Rob called from Michigan. What's the sports, Rob? What you got for us?
I was with Minnesota.
What?
And I say that because you win 14 games, receivers put up huge numbers, you let Sam Darnold walk, you miss the playoffs, you win in the Super Bowl, and his receivers are putting up big numbers.
I think not only good, probably consider what they did a couple of weeks ago. They moved on from the general manager. The problem that the Vikings had, as Rob just alluded to, do we really need to go into more detail? Do we really need to say anything more about the struggles of the Minnesota Vikings? All struggles this past year, the reason they fell short of their goals, their expectations, was because of quarterback. And they made a decision that, if I'm being honest, takes a whole lot of onions. The decision to roll Ted McCarthy after you won 14 games the year prior with Sam Darnold is a move that'll make you or break you. Kwesi Adofo-Mensah broke him. But here's the thing, right? All of the scuttlebutt out of Minnesota is that Kwesi Adofo-Mensah actually wanted to keep Sam Darnold, wanted to move forward. It was Kevin O'Connell. He was the guy that wanted to start the clock, so to speak, on J.J. McCarthy. And in hindsight, right, it's easy to say that. In hindsight, it was a terrible decision. Justin Jefferson has the worst year of his career. Statistically, your defense was lights out. Yet your offense couldn't hold up their end of the bargain. Now, I will say this about Minnesota. I'm not somebody that believes in J.J. I think he's holding the franchise back. But I will give credit because I'm objective when it comes to J.J. McCarthy. The way that offense played down the stretch, and the way that he played down the stretch, if you're a Vikings fan out there and you're listening to this thing and you're rolling your eyes thinking that we're ragging on your football team, J.J. McCarthy actually played pretty decent down the stretch, putting together some solid performances. Now, on the year, he only completed 57% of his passes, 11 touchdowns to 12 picks. So it was bad. But down the stretch, the Washington game, the Dallas game, and then the Green Bay game in the finale, I actually thought it was pretty good. But he's not awful. He was so bad. I'm not even going to try to sugarcoat it. The Vikings got to do something. They're a destination to me. The quarterback that I think makes the most sense is how I would put it. It's probably kind of athletic upside, getting elite coaching from Kevin O'Connell. I think with Kyler, we had this conversation, I think it was either last week, or last weekend, or during the week this past week. Tua and Kyler are like the two latest reclamation projects in terms of failed first-round quarterbacks. I think Tua is more accurate. I think Tua is more mechanically, fundamentally sound than Kyler. But I would choose Kyler because he doesn't have the injury history. And I feel like there's so much ability that hasn't been tapped into because he hasn't worked with an elite offensive line in this league. Cliff is cool. But Cliff, as we saw with Jay Daniels, there's a limitation for how good his offense is to be how good you can be in his offense. You pair him up with KMC, who is a known quarterback whisperer in this league. I think he'll have the ability to resurrect his career. He'll have the ability.
Mike, nice to meet you.
Yeah. Well,
Just want to take a look and see how this
So Minnesota would be my ideal destination. If not Minnesota for Kyler.
Yeah, this looks way different.
I hate something good to happen to this team. PO'd about the way their fans act.
So what did they do?
Kyler in Pittsburgh I wouldn't be mad at Kyler in Pittsburgh either. That also seems like an interesting. 310-840-4910 is the number. Which NFL team in your mind is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the 2026 offseason? Scouting combine coming up this week in Indianapolis is where the framework of all the big deals in the NFL will get put in place. GMs, scouts, executives, agents out there talking to one another, trying to figure out which direction their respective clients and franchises are going to be going. Who's got the most pressure on heading into the NFL offseason? 310-840-4910. John is in Tennessee. Wants to check in. John, welcome into Westwood One Sports Talk.
What's up, man? Hey, I'm going to say the Titans. Okay, and I live here in Tennessee. I'm actually more of a Raiders fan. Bless my heart, right? But anyway, basically the Titans. Let me tell you, the dumb mistake they made. I mean, moving on from Vrabel. Before that, getting rid of Brown, Derrick Henry, just and that right now they're in the midst of building a $2.2 billion stadium, which most of it is being paid by the taxpayers. I would say that's a lot of pressure right there to fill it.
I agree.
Hold on, I'll
John,
get right to you,
Titans
okay? Hold
are
on,
an
I'll be right
interesting
there.
team in terms of where things currently stand. The one thing that I would say, and I think the pairing of Brian Dable and Cam Ward, I think it will pay dividends, and I think he's the guy or a mind that can get the most out of Cam Ward.
Hold on, I'll get
The
right
other
to you.
piece
Hold on.
for this is the draft. Titans got to knock the draft out of the park. They need an influx of talent, in my opinion, on both sides of the football. I'm a big Jeffrey Simmons guy. I know what he brings to the table. I know what they have on the perimeter at the cornerback spot with L'Jarius Sneed. I'm a big fan of Kevin Winston. But, they just, in my opinion, don't have enough blue chip talent on that side of the football. They need a guy off the edge that can legitimately rush the passer.
Hey, where are you calling from and what city? What team?
Pulling up the
Miami Dolphins. Okay, hold on.
The Titans, fourth, yeah. So they're in an interesting spot. They need the edge rusher bad. They do. There are so many other holes.
Line 2 is the Miami and the Dolphins.
I would consider,
and
if David Bailey's not there, he
should have gotten his name.
Best edge rusher.
And I didn't. I apologize.
If David Bailey's not there,
I was like, is he going to break? Is he
a couple of spots to replenish and get a second round or extra 2 or extra 3? But right now, Dave Brugler's got David Bailey going to the Titans at 4. I think they need it. The other spot that I look at for Tennessee and go, do they feel like Dan Moore is the guy moving forward at left tackle? Do they feel like they're good enough along the offensive line? They have Calvin Ridley, but what other weapons do they really have? There's just a lot of games on this team.
Gotcha, Maurice.
I'm a big Cam Ward believer. I think Cam Ward's got all the ability.
I would not have guessed that.
If the supporting cast isn't right, though, the infrastructure is not right for a young quarterback, you won't have 310-840-4910. Which NFL team is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the 2026 offseason? Daniel is in Dallas. Wanted to check in. Come on, Dan.
Coordinator come. Yes, sir.
Yep.
We got a new what up? We got a new D coordinator coming in, Christian Parker, young mind. Really like his upside. Linebacker coach, Scott Simon, coming over from the college ranks. If Sonny Styles is not there at 12, I think we have to trade back, and that's not really what
no shot is there.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so either. I think we got to trade back. We were the worst defense in Capitals history, and if our offense clearly is fine. If we're gonna fix,
it's fine if you have George Pickens. How do you see that playing out? That's what I worry about with Dallas. I worry about Jerry Jones fumbling the George Pickens, which we know is bound to happen because the relationship is together.
100%. He would never admit that it would be a fumble, but he's definitely probably put that one up. He needs to go ahead and try to find a way to restructure some contracts. You know, there's a lot. Dak is a major one. There's several different contracts that we can restructure to free up some money. I think we have to tag, and if George is not one to play on the tag, then we have to tag and trade, and see what we can get for it. Obviously, was he was also put in for a contract. You know, is he going to be motivated to play that way again? You know, I think there's a lot there. He was on his best behavior, looking to kind of reshape his name.
Except for that one trip to Vegas. He was on his best behavior outside of the trip to Vegas.
Who doesn't go out to Vegas? You know, I'd like to break a little bit of curfew. You know?
We're up against it. I appreciate the call, Daniel. 310-840-4910 is the number. Which NFL team is under the most pressure as we get geared up for the 2026 offseason? The scouting combine gets underway this week in Indy. The framework of all the biggest deals in the NFL goes down in Indy. Your calls next.
Franchise tag window is open with free agency starting within weeks. If it happens between
What's your
now
name? Where
and
you calling from?
we'll tell you what you need to know on Westwood One Sports.
Keith in Dallas. Which team you talking about?
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 4 minutes, 30 seconds.
Got you, Keith. I'll get you on hold. I got you, buddy. Hold on. We'll get to you in the segment. Hold on. Richie, which team are you talking about? I'll get back to you. Oh. Linnell Willingham, what's your name? Steven, where are you calling from, man?
Will begin in 4 minutes.
And what do you want to say here to the guys? To Will, Linnell. Got you. All right, cool. Hold on.
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 3 minutes.
Did he send me the NFL bet?
At the tone, the broadcast will begin in 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
I just drag it into, again, the Dropbox, which is on this right here. And the downloads. There, you just open the library. Yep, you got it. And let's see. Let's see. Sometimes it doesn't come up with the title, which is kind of a bummer. It's funny because I have all this NFL films. Something we have. Yes. Something we have a million of. Probably.
At the tone. 30 seconds.
Titans, Niners, Lions, Commanders. What say you? 310-840-4910. If you've missed any of the show, super producer Carlos with a K is going to have the podcast up for you. Check it out in a few hours. Tired for the show, you can check it out on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Search Westbrook on Sports Night. We've covered a lot in this show. I hope if you've missed any of the show, you got to go back and listen. Before we got into the conversation, we were having probably one of the most spirited conversations we've ever had here on this program, with me going to bat for Darren Peterson. I hope that America, and look, you turn me on tomorrow night, 11 p.m. 3 p.m. Eastern time, talk about a lot of the same thing. I'm going to be hot under the collar about Darren Peterson for a couple of days.
Thanks for calling Monell. Your name?
We owe Darren
Eric,
Peterson.
where are you calling from?
Oh, I will be very steadfast with my thought process. I'm the guy. People. I'm
Okay,
the guy.
hold on, Ken.
For the past month, at least 2 weeks, I've been telling you, relax when it comes to this.
Okay, so I click.
Clearly trying to play through something. Right there. I don't know if it's autoimmune. I don't know what it is, but he's cramping like the boy don't drink no water. Vegetables. My grandmother called. But he's not this quitter. He's not soft. All the narratives that you all have put out there about him.
And what team were you calling again?
And I hope that he's ready to go and help
Thank you.
when the tournament gets around. If he's really get ready. If he's right. 310-840-4910 is the number. Taking your calls on the NFL team that's under the most pressure as we get geared up for the 2026 offseason. Real quick, crazy night in college basketball last night. A.J. DeBonsa, I thought his performance for BYU at home against Iowa State solidified himself as the best player in the country. It wasn't just the offense, though. Defense was, and he is a real energizer bunny. I compare his impact from an emotional standpoint. I compare it to Kevin Garnett. He's got that type of energy level, aura, so on and so forth. And I think as we get to the month of March, BYU just picked up probably the biggest win of the season. As we get to the month of March, and we really start splitting hairs in terms of who's the best player in the country, I think DeBonsa rises to the occasion, man. Damn near had a triple-double last night. Would have had a triple-double if his teammates hit the wide side of a barn. 29, 10, and 9. BYU got 7-25 from 3. Looking for a reason why I didn't have a triple-double, that's that. But Iowa State's one of the best defenses in the country. And he routinely last night made them look like a group that had no business being on the floor with him. Made them look like a group that had no answers. Scoring from the mid-range, Baja, shooting from the perimeter from 3. I gave you a Super Six pack. I'll run through it here real quick if you missed it. Top 6 players in college basketball. Keith Wagler from Illinois. Darius Aytow from Arkansas. Caleb Wilson from UNC. Cam Boozer from Duke. Darren Peterson from Kansas. And A.J. Johnson BYU. Your calls to wrap up the show. 310-840-4910. This portion of the show brought to you by our friends at Progressive Commercial Insurance. Progressive Commercial Insurance protects your business.
Yeah.
Your calls now on the top team in the NFL that's under the most pressure on. That has the most pressure on going into the 2026 offseason. Who's got the most pressure? Got to figure it out here in the next couple of months. Our guy Maurice is in Miami. One second. Hold on. Welcome in.
My man. First off, college basketball, shouldn't have lost that game last night. If Jim Larinaga was still coach, we wouldn't have lost. But getting into football, your take on Tua is way off, man. He is done. He's got when all you have is your accuracy, you have no mobility. And
trust me, I'm right with you on Tua. I hope it didn't come off as me trying to defend.
He said he's got a chance to make it back, man.
has is his accuracy, and he needs a perfect storm to be able to play well. And he's just falling with his injuries caught up to him. He's done. I watched it firsthand here, and he's a nice fella, but I agree that Minnesota's probably under the biggest hot seat. Maybe the Bills. Who better than a team that hasn't won a playoff game in 25 years? Might be that.
Yeah, so the Miami situation is interesting because I don't like the hire.
What I do,
honestly,
is I just put him in queue.
I really don't.
You can hear him kind of trying to
I
respond.
just feel like with Miami, they're so far away from the talent perspective that they've got to gut the entire thing. I wouldn't even go out and spend big money. I would see if Quinn Ewers has it. Obviously, they're going to get to a bidding war from Malik Willis. That may be what's best for business. I just think there's so many holes, man.
We had a good line. H-Chan got 1,350 yards. The offensive line's working well. I mean, it's ridiculous. 22 and 26 at Boston College. You can't even get the Hurricane shot.
I didn't like
much less the Dolphins stuff.
But it's hard though, Maurice, because no one wants to work for Stephen Ross.
Listen, it's kind of a no-lose situation coming in as a coach. I mean, you can't do any worse. You can only get better, right? I mean, you can't do worse, but it'd be a great situation if I was a coach to try to resurrect this thing. But
look, Maurice, can I tell you the saving grace for Dolphins fans out there? I know a lot of prominent media members aren't saying it, but I keep my ear to the streets. They're a sneaky Lamar Jackson destination. If he leaves, if Baltimore can't get an extension done, he'll be a Dolphin. Appreciate the calls. Steve, who is in Florida. Steve, which NFL team do you think is under the most pressure as we get geared up for 26 years?
Good morning. I agree with the Buffalo Bills.
I'm going to get out because you got a hard thing coming up.
Yeah, but you can do it.
Out of there.
Just give him 2 minutes. Just tell him 2 right now.
Pressure's on if you don't fix that defense.
2 minutes.
And they brought in a defensive coach.
And that's going to fire automatically.
Automatically, it will fire.
So low.
Yeah, about 10. Yeah.
Like Buffalo's expecting to win it all.
And then at 53-55, which is 30 seconds before, I just pot this up real slow, and he knows how to.
So that is his like an outro.
Everybody's outro.
Yeah. Look, I think it's fair. I said at the
I
day
can ask
after the
Carlos if he
game,
wants
man,
something else.
They should be totally embarrassed.
And he will want something
as a
else.
franchise.
Get in Linnell's ears, let him know you guys just won gold.
The way that they did.
US just won gold.
Just how abysmal Josh Allen was throughout the post. Breaking news into the program. We love breaking news.
I wish I had some music.
Any of you that have been following.
You probably can't play Olympic music.
USA,
We are
Canada,
the champions. Probably not.
the United States just lit the lamp and are going to be 2-1 winners over Canada in the gold medal game in men's hockey. So that's awesome for Team USA. Woo! USA. USA. We just say USA on the way out for the final minute. Is that how we wrap this bad boy up? Appreciate all
Do you
of your
believe
calls.
in miracles? Yes.
I'll get to you during the week, man. You know how to get at me. 310-840.
You're up now, sorry.
Back with you. Coming up.
Why is that so loud?
Westwood One Sports Night. Meet me there.
Why is that so loud?
Carlos with a K. Appreciate your calls as well. If you want to keep the conversation rolling with me on social media, NELL_BTP. Back with you tomorrow night on Westwood One Sports Night. Go US of A.
This is Westwood One Sports.
Good job, Linnell.